what is the application process?
So the application process is actually super easy. There are two parts to IHSS. There is IHSS for things like meal cleanup, laundry, preparing meals, grocery stores, appointments, traveling to and from appointments, stuff like that. And then there is a whole separate side of IHSS called protective supervision, which is when the child or adult does not have the safety awareness to remain safely in their home without 24-hour supervision. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky, is that it does not cover aggressive behaviors. So you have to be very careful in how you document things, because, say, for example, when one of my children gets so overstimulated, he will start banging his head against the wall. That to an outsider would look like an aggressive behavior, but it is not. It is a reaction to an overstimulated event that he cannot process. So that's how you have to word things.
So how would you package that to IHSS, right? So your kiddo's beating his head against the wall. If we highlight that, they may interpret it as something that's aggressive.
Right.
It's outside of our purview. We don't do behaviors.
So in the application, you are applying for the child that, yes, I want them assessed. And then there is a form for protective supervision that the doctor has to sign. And then you would gather, what the social worker likes to see is a log of the last 6 to 12 months of a danger and behavior log. And then even sometimes if they are awake a lot during the night, a 30-day calendar of their sleep cycle. So those are the few things that I generally like to put together. And in the danger and behavior log, I would document that Mason has noted with episodes of banging his head against the wall as a result of an overstimulating event, leading me to have to intervene to keep him safe in his environment. He lacks the safety awareness to understand that that is a dangerous action that we can reintegrate into something a little more appropriate.
Do you feel like it's kind of like when you're working with regional center, where you have to highlight how your kiddo's development is different than typical peers? So are you like saying, okay, my 8-year-old continues to elope from my home, or my 7-year-old continues to beat their head against the wall for 3 hours at a time, or my 6-year-old doesn't know how to toilet themselves? Like,
you have to document all of that. And what I encourage every family to do when they are first applying because that's all the social worker has to go on is what you submitted. And then they base everything that they read on their small firsthand visual interaction with the child. And then they make their determination.
So when you're submitting your initial application, there's paperwork you can fill out. So it depends on how your county does it. Sometimes you can do a referral line and leave a message. Somebody will call you back, and then you can give them your address to get the packet. There's online packets.
So what I have encouraged everybody to do is to obtain all the paperwork, and you submit everything as one completed happy little envelope. And that includes all the necessary documentation. That way, when they receive it, they can't argue that, oh, well, I never received the danger log.
Got it. It's all
together, and I need your name. Great, it was hand delivered. This was who it was. This is the time it was. And that way you you have everything right then and there. It makes their life easier. It makes our life easier. And every county has their own timeline. Some counties are able to get through that quicker. Some are months and months and months behind. But at least all the documentation is there in a cute little bow.
Yeah. Okay. We give the same tip too for Social Security. It's kind of
Correct.
like, give all the reasons why you think you qualify for this and basically dare them to say no.
Right. What I also encourage all the first time applicants to do, in addition to the danger log, the behavior log, and the sleep cycle log, is also a printed out copy of the CDC milestones by age. So say you are applying for your 4-year-old. I want 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old, and 2-year-old, and sometimes even the 18-month-old. And then you highlight and you show what your child is not yet doing.
Okay, so we're dealing with the medical-based deficits. We need to highlight what they can't do, kind of going back to
what they can't do, that my 4-year-old is nonverbal.
Right, and giving them visuals, because sometimes I think the social workers kind of forget, or maybe they don't know very well the developmental milestones.
Correct.
Especially in IHSS, because typically you're working with seniors. And you're looking at self-care deficits majority of the time. So kids, especially in maybe more rural, remote locations, they may not have the skill set of working with and understanding the impact that a child with autism may have when they're 5, 6, 7.
Right, because the thing that I see most often is the social worker will come back with, that is normal parental duties.
Right, so you're not just printing off their age, you're showing how they haven't even met
correct
milestones all the way
at 18 months. Right.
Okay.
Because they won't hold eye contact and they won't follow directions when my 8-year-old is running from the car into Vaughn's with no concept of any kind of danger with cars because he saw a crow 2 parking lot streets over.
Right.
And he's 8. He should be able to stop when I say stop. But he is in fight or flight, and that is not an age-appropriate behavior.
Right.
And that's basically what you have to justify in every aspect of their life. And the reason why I always encourage families to do their danger and behavior log is because when you sit down and look at it, it's a rote skill to the parents. That, of course I need to brush my 8-year-old's teeth. Of course, because it's normal for us, but that's not normal for others.
Right. What's considered typical development.
Right.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a good point. We're talking from the lens of autism, but even from the lens of CP or intellectual disability, maybe it's more physical limitations. So you're highlighting, if my kiddo was 8 years old at this point, they would be able to brush their teeth independently. But because of the disability, they lack motor control because of their CP, and therefore it requires somebody to do the self-care tasks indefinitely.